Hi Waffles! Patrick, Waffle means Wineking channel's wine people. So it's a fan name. You know, wine people, in short, Waffle. In plural form, it's Waffles. I prepared 2 champagne today and then mid-price range red wines. I have 9 bottles, so together 11 bottles. You ready?
Broom.
Okay.
Start the engine.
I just want to talk about just one more thing. The importers and the retailers watching our video, please don't raise the wines that you sell or import in your countries, because it is happening now. They watch our video.
Raise the price.
Yeah, these wines price.
To be fair to the consumer.
Yeah, it's not fair to the consumer. So these 11 bottles, I also don't know which one is which one. Peter, you start?
Looking at the color, it's yellow with some green hints to it. There's also a very, very slight earthiness to the color, so it leads me to believe it's not Blanc de Blanc. It was drier on the entry than I expected, a little bit of brioche on the nose. It finished a little short and a little bitter. So I would say that this is somebody's entry-level wine, the house style.
I'm the same boat as Peter. I didn't get much on the nose here. A little toastiness and some lemon. It had some unusual flavors. Either some of this has been aged in some old wood, part of the reserve wine, or it was a little bit skunky. It wasn't as long as I would have liked. A little bit bitter on the finish. Not anything that knocks my socks off.
Yeah.
It's Moet Chandon.
Mass-produced entry-level wine.
The wines that I prepared, they are all extremely popular in Asia, in South Korea, in Japan, and many of them you can easily find.
Here in the United States, yeah. Moet and Chandon, they produce a tremendous amount of wine.
Give us fucking Bolly or something. We want Bolly.
Oh, he wants Bollinger is what he's saying. That's it.
Hey, the second champagne. And what do you think about the champagne's temperature?
Very good.
To drink at this temperature is lovely.
Yeah, it's ideal, yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever there's 2 wines, I'm always tempted to compare one versus the other. Maybe a tad bit lighter in color than the first wine with a hint of tan. That's telling me that there's more than there's Chardonnay here, that there's Pinot Noir, probably some Pinot Meunier. A little bit of mineral and lemon on the nose. The palate was more interesting with citrus and berry, a hint of toast. So it was a very clean style, cleaner than the previous one. I thought a little bit crispier, longer than the first one. I prefer this to the first wine. This is also a non-vintage wine, fresh, modern style that I liked a lot.
So, I mean, I almost don't have to say anything. I agree with better wine, slightly longer. It amazes me actually to look at the 2 of them, how very, very similar they are. And the Maisons aim for a similar kind of style because they're after a similar kind of consumer, I think. But absolutely, and I've talked a lot for having nothing to say, because I absolutely agree with Patrick.
And my favorite would be vintage Blanc de Blanc.
Which is... This is another entry-level champagne.
But whose is this one? Because we both preferred it.
The Widow Cliquot.
Widow Cliquot.
And what was the price differential between these wines?
$39.48.
Wow, those are expensive, 39 and 48. Champagne's gone up.
I bought them at Costco.
Really?
Yeah.
They saw you coming.
The reality would be happy with either one of those in my glass as an aperitif.
Yeah, so it must have worked like a fuel for the following 9 bottles.
There we go. So we're ready. We're awake. Our palates are alive.
Are you ready for reds?
We're
I
ready for
suppose.
reds. So how do you define moderately priced?
They are between 30 and 80.
Well, so that's not that moderately priced. It's moderately priced compared to the fantasy wines of our last tasting. I mean, these are still fairly expensive wines.
As Peter expected, our budget got a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
Tireder is what I think it is. Not tighter, tireder.
Peter?
All right. So the reds, first one, deep ruby, but not opaque, not showing any age. It's got legs, it's got a lot of extract. So that's color in the legs as they run down. Certain grapes give more extract than others. And oaky, quite bitter on the entry, and then also very tannic, but then complex, harsh. It's got that lovely minerally character to it that I look for in high quality wines. So these people were certainly trying. It's got plenty of alcohol. So in the end, I came down to New World, probably California.
I'm very similar. Lots of wood, buttery notes on this, which I get from warm climate, very lavish use of oak on the wine. Alcohol's pretty high. I think this is from the Napa Valley.
I do too.
Yeah.
So we were in the same place. I think it was him, or Evelyn Waugh, one of these great characters for whom a 2-bottle lunch was miserly. Someone asked him what he thought of a wine, and he said, people who like this kind of thing will find this almost exactly the kind of thing they like.
That was probably after the 2 bottles. And that was two bottles per person.
No, that's right. I mean, 2 gentlemen dining for lunch. Started with a magnum of champagne, went on for a magnum of claret, and then a bottle of something at the end, something sweet. That was a reasonable lunch.
Very
reasonable. Supremely reasonable.
extremely. Okay, wine number 1. Duckhorn Napa Merlot 2017. Alcohol content is 14%.
They're fucking lying.
Yeah. And what's the price on that?
The price is 43.
And Duckhorn has long been considered one of the premium Merlot producers in California. Wine number 2, dense purple garnet color. I got cassis and oak with some anise, some slight green notes. And this wine to me had both good and less good characteristics. On the good side, it had beautiful purity of cassis fruit. On the less good side, it's very firmly tannic. So for drinking young, it's not a wine I would recommend to drink young.
So I'm with Patrick. I preferred it to the previous one. I love the chocolate's character. And for people who like dark wines, this was mulberry colored. Nice one.
Wine number 2. Penfold Cap 54, Shiraz 46. The vintage is 2017, been 389.
And what's the price on that?
60.
I remember when it first came out. This was a cheap wine. And of course the quality was amazing. And within a few years, it got to be this price.
This wine does age very well.
Have you ever aged this wine?
I've aged personally, and I've had it tasted on visits to Australia, and it does age very well.
Red wine number 3.
This is the most perplexing wine of them for me. Almost as dark as the previous one. Deep purple, mulberry, no age, leafy, some green, some wood, and sweetish on the entry. This wine really upset me.
Why?
Because it's a highly manipulated wine. This is recipe winemaking. And at this price, I don't really care for recipe winemaking.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
You did?
The
Yeah.
recipe wine.
Yeah, this is recipe winemaking. That much alcohol, so you get a bit of sweetness, 1 or 2 grams of residual.
It tastes like a Calorossi cat.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. You guys are being very unkind.
So there's quite a lot of green there. I wasn't sure that it was a Cabernet green. So I messed with the New World, and the manipulation worked for me because it's easy to drink, but it's a diabolical wine. That's my overall comment on the wine. The winemaker, on the one hand, is probably getting bonuses from the owners for making them a lot of money, and I'm not sure that he shouldn't be executed.
And the bottom line is that the vast majority of wines on the market are really manipulated. Much softer and rounder than the other wines in the group of 5, stylistically. That if somebody loves a giant amount of fruit in a wine and they don't like the punch in the face of the tannins, this would be the wine for you.
And personally?
Personally, I could have this with some barbecue.
Korean barbecue.
With Korean barbecue. Let's see what it is.
Camus.
Camus Cabernet Sauvignon. Huh.
2018. This is the most expensive one.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. How much did you pay for it?
80.
It's just that I thought that the wine is manipulated.
I thought the fruit was just glorious on it, and I'll leave it at that.
Your 2 opinions are really different on this wine. It was 2 years ago I visited the winery. I tasted all the wines they produce. I've never liked any of their wine.
You never liked any of them?
No.
I think that not this one, but the Camus Special Selection is for sure one of California's best wines. But Chuck Wagner is dead now, so who knows who's controlling things these days.
Wine number 4, medium plus garnet rim, garnet red, some clearing at the rim. Interesting and complex in some ways, and faulted in others. So it is chocolate and cherry and anise on the nose as good things. On the palate I get sour cherry, some earthiness, and oak, good things. But there's more than a small dollop of volatile acidity here. And the longer that the wine sits in the glass, the more that volatile acidity,
One of my notes here, high VA.
high VA,
Me too.
tends to overpower the wines. Each sip, the volatile acidity became more apparent, and for me that was a negative.
This is the latest vintage that I could find at the market.
So VA, what are we talking about by volatile acidity? And it tends to be vinegar and nail polish remover.
Boot polish too.
Yeah. You've had very ripe grapes, and there are lots of fruit flies in the winery, and the fruit flies are giving a bacteria called acetobacter, or the wine's not sterile filtered. There's some things that bacteria can consume with a second fermentation. Usually you get some bubbles. I don't get any of that, so I suspect this was all pre-bottling that this tended to occur.
This was a difficult while for me. I thought it was flawed from the very high levels of VA. There's a sort of chocolatey character there, maybe some garnacha, grenache, between the New World and the Old World. I didn't think it was Californian. A serious amount of grenache in it.
Wine number 4. Chateau Musar.
Musar.
2013. In terms of grape varieties, 50% of Cinsault, 35 Grenache, 15 Cabernet Sauvignon.
How much did you pay for it?
55.
I have never figured out why people love it. I've got friends in Colorado, they get together once every 2 months to open their bottles of Musar. I don't get it.
The most recent release, I think, is the 2016, and those wines, when I tasted them, had very little VA and were just gorgeous.
Red wine number 5.
All right. This one to me was the lightest of all. Showed some age, even browning. Now when I see browning, I look for Sangiovese or badly made Pinot Noir. Of course I look for age.
And what do you mean by badly made Pinot Noir?
In certain parts of the world where they don't have a long history of making Pinot Noir, and sometimes where it's very warm, I have noticed that they tend to brown very quickly. The nose is quite flat for me. There's nothing really interesting about it. It smells like porridge. The nose is pleasant.
I got some green notes on it.
Yeah. Maak oop, jong.
Red wine number 5.
And this is Amarone.
This was the Amarone.
Amarone.
Who done it?
It's a Tomasi.
I don't think I'd ever recognize this one blind.
No.
I don't think I ever would get there. There's a lushness to Corvina that I don't get here. There's a whole lot of masters of wine, a whole lot more fucking famous than Patrick and I, who can't survive in a tasting with us. I can tell you that.
It's true.
Who's driving me home? Remind me again?
I've got extra bedrooms, Peter. You could always...
Yeah, right. With contagion raging in those bedrooms.
No.
Listen, I'm a married man. Okay, I'm gonna go home and... How much did the Amarone cost?
Amarone 60. I find as a wine it is not bad, but as Amarone,
As a wine, it's not bad.
but as a Amarone it's not good either. What do you think?
Nicht gut.
Nicht gut.
Nicht gut. I think this is of value to our viewers.
Yeah. All right, then Patrick.
Fairly dark in color, a little clearing at the rim, dark spicy fruit. There's some of this diacetyl there, the buttery notes, oak. Smells like a New World wine to me. There's some VA. Tastes like a New World wine. It's a good quality wine. It's extracted. Layers of flavor. The VA detracts a bit. For me, this diacetyl detracts a bit, but still layers of flavor. It's rich, it's full, it's fairly long. I consider Cabernet and Merlot.
Columbia Crest.
Washington.
Reserve Cab
That's Washington though.
2015. Then alcohol is 15%. Price is 39.
For somebody who wants a rich, extracted, overtly oaked New World wine, it's on the lower end of the price spectrum.
I prefer this one to Camus.
This color's amazing. That's not to say good or bad.
Yeah.
It's very, very deep. Purple, mulberry, not showing any age. Enormous extract. I did like the wine.
It had some floral note on it initially. You know, I can get violets on Cabernet Sauvignon. Sometimes you can get floral note on Syrah. Dark fruit, but I had a hard time pinning it down beyond dark fruit. Maybe there's some tobacco here as well, but the fruit was penetrating. That aspect of it I really liked. Ripe, firm tannins. I thought it was well made, and it didn't kill your palate with the tannins, and had some elegance to them.
It's a very good compliment.
Let's see what it is.
All right. Red.
Stop fucking with us.
You noticed it.
Jay, with respect,
Yeah.
nearly 3 years ago,
Yeah.
I noticed it.
Oh, wine number 7. And I recognize the bottle. Bottle is very long. It must be Argentinian Iscay. 50% Malbec, 50% Cabernet Franc. 2012.
And it looks much younger.
And it costs
70.
a shitload of money.
You think so?
It's good wine. I mean, it's very minerally, and for me, only really good wines get that minerally character. This one's got it in spades. I really like the wine.
I do as well. Compared to many of the other wines that we tasted here, this wine has elegance.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it looking at the color, but yeah. Cabernet Franc does well in Argentina, but it's hard to recognize it because it doesn't get that characteristic green character.
This is at 12,000,
Oh, yeah.
1,200 meters.
Yeah.
Refined tannins. I know Jay's going to ask us for our 2 favorite wines later on.
He is?
He is.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
This is going to be one of my 2 favorite wines.
Yeah, yeah.
Number 8.
Lightest colored wine of the group, had the most brick change at the rim. On the nose, spicy red fruit, some anise, though astringent. And I questioned whether or not the wine was drying out or if it was a function of a variety.
Red wine number 8. Poupille, Castillon. Castillon Côte de Bordeaux. 2012. The price is 35. 100% Merlot.
It's drying out.
You're right.
Do you think it's down the hill?
If I had a case of this in my cellar and I drank it, taste this now, I say, it's time to drink this up.
There's 2 sides to this. The conclusion that Patrick's just come to, I heartily endorse, 100%. The question about it is the wine drying out, or is the wine making such that the fruit was always subdued and the structure will always dominate the fruit, so you might as well drink it now. 75 Bordeaux comes to mind. Shows you how fucking old I am.
All right, I hurry up. The last red wine?
Again, a very young looking wine, mulberry, purple, not much change, a little bit lighter at the rim, but still a very dark color, not showing very much age. On the nose, sweetish, some chocolate, a hint of green, quite forward. The fruit is coming out. It's got big tannin. It's a very good wine. I like this. I pick up hints of Cabernet.
Cherry, earthy notes, some background oak, but also some greenness, some of the chocolate had leather on it. It's complex. I thought there was a hint of brioche. I think structurally it's more linear, a bit more tannic, so I went with Left Bank Bordeaux classified growth.
It's a very good bottle of wine, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's an extremely good bottle of wine.
All right, red wine number 9. Chateau
Talbot.
And 2016. And the price, it was 70 something. I wanted to buy 2018. It was 55. But 2016 was 78 or something like that.
Worth it.
Yeah.
I didn't buy it, but it's worth it.
So in answer to your question, that's the best wine of the flight.
Agreed. So we've already answered that. No, because you said you were going to ask, right?
Yeah.
That was the best one of the tasting.
Yeah. Now the second best wine, this guy, the
Iscay.
Argentine one, yeah.
So Chateau Talbot, Trapiche Iscay. And for you, Peter?
I'm amazed, but I think it's the same.
Yeah, really? Exactly the same?
Chateau Talbot, Iscay,
I'm actually going to drink some of
Duckhorn.
this.
Yeah.
Iscay and Talbot. But Talbot by miles.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
it's got it all. It's dense fruit, but elegance. So well mannered.
Yeah, it's a beautiful wine.
So eventually I pleased you.
Well, you please us with the tasting. You always please us, Jay. But the wines, this was the most pleasing of the wines for me, this last one.
Yeah, for me the same.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm going to drink this.
Well, cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
It's a pleasure.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What a delightful way to spend a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, delightful wine. Good evening.
Good evening. Patrick, there are people asking me what we do with the leftover of the wines.
We make delicious food and then we drink the wines. After we've blind tasted the wines are there and we can drink them as much as we want.
That is true.
So the question is, what happened last night?
Yeah. Did you enjoy the wines?
Some of the wines I very much enjoyed. And so I tasted the wines with food and then again without food.
I see. And what happened?
The two best wines, the Talbot and the Iscay, remain by far the best wines of the tasting. Besides the two sparkling ones, the Cliquot better than the Moet. The Musar was interesting. There was just too much volatile acidity and we tossed the wine.
As when we taste it, right?
The Amarone got worse over time. It had Brettanomyces and some volatile acidity. The Duckhorn may be pleasing to some people who like that style of very ripe wine. It wasn't pleasing to us. We didn't drink it. We tossed it. Same with the Penfolds. Liked the Penfolds more when we were blind tasting it, but it got worse. Columbia Crest was, after the first two wines, the Talbot and the Iscay, was the best of the rest.
Best of the rest.
The Camus, to me, and I think you as well, was a bit overripe, and the worst wine was the last wine.
Sorry, Patrick, but Camus for me it was like expensive color rossi.
Yeah, very expensive.
Very expensive color rossi. Yeah.
And we're saying this in a somewhat amusing way, but when you're spending your money, if I'm now going out with my money and buying these wines, I would buy the Cliquot, I would buy the Talbot or the Talbot, buy the Iscay, would not buy the Musar 2013, the 2016 is very good, and that's it.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
And you won't buy any of the rest?
I wouldn't buy any of the rest.
All right. We can also see how much we had.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, so Chateau Talbot almost done. And Veuve Cliquot empty because we love a bubbly. Moet Chandon not so much. And then Iscay pretty much. Camus, except for the quantity for the tasting, nobody touched it.
Right. Well, we touched it, but we didn't drink it.
Exactly, we touched it, but we didn't drink it.
And we tried. If you've enjoyed the videos, please subscribe to our channel and push the like button.
Thanks, Ben.
You're welcome. Cheers.
Bye, Waffles.
Bye-bye.
이럴 땐 이 와인 네이버 밴드로 놀러 오시면 와인을 잘 몰라도 편하고 싸게 사실 수 있도록 제가 많이 도와드립니다. 다들 만족하시고 좋아하시더라고요.